This is hopefully not breaking the rules, as it happens part and parcel between both me and a friend on the same night. Anyway, I'll get into it. This was the late 90s, and me and a friend were over at another friend's house, both of us around the age of 17 or 18. At around midnight, we both set off home, and we typically walked everywhere. Neither of us drove, so really it was our only option. We walked part of the way back together, then split off in our separate directions. He lived out in the country, and the walk back to his house was a long and pretty vacant one. A long stretch of main road past a cemetery, followed by an almost pitch-black walk down a 1-mile road which led to his village. His house was the second house of the village, so after that trek he'd be home. After splitting up, it took about 10 minutes before I got a call from him. He said a guy had pulled up next to him in a car and said, "Hey, do you want a lift?" His initial reaction was confusion. He didn't know this guy, but also, his car was full of kids. 4 kids ranging from the age of 5 and 14. He said he'd told him that he was fine, and the guy's face just changed, and he shouted, "Yeah? Well, you didn't fucking look like you needed one." At that point, he'd sped off. As he was explaining this, he says, "Oh fuck, he's here again." I immediately turn on my heel and start walking back. I partly hear the conversation on the phone. The guy pulls up alongside him again and says, "Do you want a fucking lift now?" My friend again responds with no. Then, possibly the weirdest point, the guy says, "Are you a hermaphrodite?" My friend, confused, just said, "What?" To which the guy responded, "Do you have both male and female organs?" To which my friend simply responded, "No." And then the guy took off in his car again. At this point, I'm racing to catch up with where he'd got to. He was just past the cemetery on the long main road before he'd got to the point where he'd turn off onto the mile of dark road. On catching up with him, he was visibly freaked out, and he said the weirdest part is that the kids in the car just seemed unfazed by it. Like this guy just does this kind of thing and they're used to it. They weren't laughing, they weren't really paying attention. It was all just so bizarre. We started walking together and got to the mile of dark road. It's not a nice place to walk at the best of times, and the previous events just made us both more nervous, but we pressed on. About halfway down the path, we hear a car coming up from behind us. It's the guy again. He's absolutely racing down the road and comes to a screeching halt next to us. Again, he winds the window down. I clock the guy, and he looks like the most typical early 30s chav dad of that time. Bleach blonde Eminem-style hair, football top. Basically, you wouldn't have looked twice at him in the street in that particular era. He eyes me up and said, "Who the fuck's this?" Before either of us can say a word, he screams, "Do you want to fucking fight?" And again, before even answering that question, he takes off again, speeding down the road to the village where my friend lives. We now had to walk directly toward where he'd gone, so we sprint it, knowing his house isn't so far away. We rush into his house and stake out his bedroom window, which looks out over the only road leading out of the village. No car left in the hour we sat there. This guy must live in his village, we concluded. I stayed at his that night, and early the next morning we went looking for the car. His village is made up of about 4 separated cul-de-sacs, and we could see no sign of the vehicle. Whether it was parked in a garage or not, who knows, but it all started to feel like an episode of The Twilight Zone. So, weird, angry, child convoying football hooligan? Let's never meet again. From 2006 to 2011, I worked in the electronics department at the local Walmart in the small city I lived in. Through those 5 years I had worked there, I had plenty of creepy encounters with strange customers, especially considering the state hospital was directly across the road. This story isn't just a regular old creepy encounter, but something that would lead to me being stalked for nearly a year. It all started in 2010 on a night I was working second shift. I was doing my end-of-shift ritual when a woman in her late 40s interrupted me. She was with a little girl, no more than 3 or 4. "Excuse me, I need help with my cell phone." She spoke softly and proceeded to tell me her problem. "I need to turn my phone into a straight talk phone. The girl earlier said you could do it." Of fucking course she did, I thought to myself. But my lips said, "Sure, Let's see what we can do. She handed me a 6-year-old phone from Verizon, and I knew as soon as I saw it I wouldn't be able to do what she wanted. I explained she would have to buy a new phone from Straight Talk and transfer her old number. Basic shit, really. Now, I always took my job seriously and held myself to the highest standard of customer service. I would often receive letters to the store from customers complimenting me, so I assure you I did nothing to actually piss off this lady, but sure as shit she was pissed. Why the hell would I buy a new phone? I already have one. She's screaming at the top of her lungs, her claims of me upselling her and being a corporate goon. I finally managed to defuse the situation, and as she left the department, she gives me the classic, "You'll never get a job in this town again." As I'm getting ready to leave my shift, my manager stops me and tells me I got a complaint at customer service from a lady claiming I swore at her granddaughter. Apparently, I told her to fuck off. I explained what happened, and he just laughed it off. My managers knew it was very unlike me to say anything like that to a customer. I wish the story ended there, but then I wouldn't be writing this. For the next several weeks, I would get complaints about things I've never done, sometimes even on my days off. I would come in to questions from management nearly every day. It was complaints ranging from being rude to a customer all the way to me doing drugs in the parking lot on break. All these complaints were coming from 2 women. As it turned out, it was Cell Phone Lady and her adult daughter. It turns out they have been scoping out my work schedule, started coming in nearly every day. They would walk through electronics to make sure they saw me, and later that night, I would have a complaint. This happened for months. It happened so much, management deemed her Corzor's favorite customer. To be honest, I didn't care much. I even thought it was pretty funny. I never got in trouble, and everyone knew these ladies and just blew it off. I started caring when she took it to a new level. She started to follow me around. I would see her when I was around town. She made it clear she knew where I lived and would regularly walk by my house. I would see her standing out front just looking at my place. I began getting complaints to the city about my property. Grass too tall, the old shed in my yard, my fire pit, basically everything. She even found out my girlfriend's name and began complaining at her job. I knew it was her. She would make it so clear that she was following me. Sometimes she would stop in and ask me questions at work and act like the nicest customer. A few times she asked me things like, "How's your girlfriend?" Or my favorite, "How can you afford that big house on your little Walmart wage?" For about 7 months she stalked and slandered me. I started telling her I knew what she was doing and to stop, but she played it off. I couldn't report her. She never once threatened me. She was just making my life hard. By this time, everyone in my life knew about this nut job. One night, I'm grabbing dinner with my friends from work and we're joking about it when someone says, "What if you just counter-stalk her?" At first I thought it was a terrible idea, but they convinced me it would work and they would all help me. So we hatched a plan like something you would read on R Pro Revenge. It went as follows: find her job, find her name and address, make complaints in the same manner as her, find out all the rumors she's told about me, make it clear that we know, show her that we have numbers. I found out her information easily enough. Turns out she didn't live anywhere near me. I was even friends with a few of her coworkers. They would keep me informed on crazy shit she said about me and even told her to stop. We began doing exactly what she was doing to me. We did this for about 4 months. The more we dug into her life, the more I found out how obsessed she was over getting me in trouble. She had claimed that I assaulted her. She urged others to report me and follow me. She told police I was a potential drug dealer. Eventually we won, though. She started putting together that there were 6 of us digging into her life and asking questions about her. My last month at work, I didn't get a single complaint. In fact, I never even saw her anymore. The day after I quit, though, I heard she was in the store complaining about a new person after asking one of the managers why I quit. I'll honestly never understand why she was so hell-bent on destroying me. I just told her to buy a $20 prepaid phone. Hi there, thanks so much for listening. Now that things are starting to pick up around here and I've started to get a larger collection of videos up, I'm going to be starting an upload schedule so that viewers can know when to expect new content on the channel. I'll be adding a new video every Friday and Saturday. The Friday uploads will be done in the mid-afternoon, so they'll be ready for any Friday night spook sessions that anybody has planned, and the Saturday videos will go up in the mid-morning. As always, if you have any stories that you'd like to have featured on this channel, please email them to readingrubyYT@gmail.com, which I'll list in the description for you below, so you can copy and paste that. Please be sure to include in your email your name as you'd like to have it featured here, and express permission for me to publish it on this channel. If you're interested in Let's Plays or live streams, go ahead and check out VexTech Labs. I'll add some links down in the description for that as well. My friends and I, all playing some video games together, and I like to think it's pretty amusing. So check us out. Thanks again for watching. Leave a like and a comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and stay safe out there.